If Donald Trump has any path to the White House, it probably runs through the Rust Belt, states like Ohio and Pennsylvania, where manufacturing decline could make voters ripe for Trump's America First message. But when it comes to winning these states, or any state, the Clinton and Trump campaigns are using the same basic voter formula.
Campaign strategists divide up voters into three main groups. There's the base, party loyalists who will turn out on November 8th no matter what. Then there's what campaigns like to call GOTV targets, get out the vote, people who will probably back you, but who are unreliable voters and need some extra encouragement to get to the polls. In Pennsylvania, for instance, Democrats have such an advantage that if Hillary Clinton runs a perfect turnout operation, she could technically win the state without a single vote from independents. But in Ohio, where both Trump and Clinton start with similarly sized bases, it's all about persuadables. Those are the undecided voters who both campaigns are trying to woo through TV ads, campaign events. From there, the math is simple. If your base, GOTVs, and share of persuadables add up to the estimated win number, well, you win.
Joining us now are two guys who will be crunching those numbers on battleground states over the next 8 weeks. They started in the Rust Belt with Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Michigan, and what it would take for Trump to cross the finish line in each state. Sasha Issenberg is Bloomberg Politics contributor and author of the book The Victory Lab, and Steve Yaccino is a reporter for Bloomberg Politics and one of our producers, one of John and Mark's brilliant producers. Steve, let's start with you. All I was thinking was you're the person who gets me through these hours when I...
Yeah, I'm used to being in your ear.
Yeah, I know. I'm totally lost without you. Now it's clear why. Yeah. You're the star of the show. That was amazing. And if, I guess in 2004, it was Florida, Florida, Florida. Clearly now it's Ohio, Ohio,
right.
Ohio. Why?
And there's a reason, because a lot of people know Ohio is going to be close, but I don't think they know why. And the reason is because, like we showed you, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump start with very similar bases. They have very similar GOTV, get out the vote, sort of targets that they're trying to get to the polls. And the group of persuadables is pretty large. It's about 500,000 persuadable voters. And whoever gets the share of those, the larger share of those, wins. Obama lost the independent votes in the state by a huge 10 points. He got creamed by Romney, and yet he still won because he was able to turn out more of his GOTV. Hillary Clinton doesn't have that advantage this year. If she got the same share if she lost by the same margin that Obama did in 2012, she would have to run the ground game of a lifetime.
And the reality is that life for people in Ohio is this barrage of messages to do just this, right? I mean, most of the ads are targeted to that third category.
And that's why the Clinton campaign is spending $13.5 million in the state on TV. It's the second best, behind Florida, which of course is still important this year. It's the second state that they're spending the most ads in.
Okay, and if it's Ohio, 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 my question for Republicans is always, what are you doing in Pennsylvania? It's always a giant head fake for Republicans. So what are we doing in Pennsylvania as Republicans? Is there something different happening there, Sasha?
Well, you know, what we tried to do was look at the part of the Democratic coalition that in those states where Trump would have to eat into the Democratic base, where would he look for defections? And so we mapped in all three of those states white men without college educations who are historically Democrat, are likely to be voting this fall and live in communities directly affected by factory or plant closings in the last 2 years. And of the three states, we found that Pennsylvania has by far the most, about 300,000 of them, a little over 200,000 in Ohio, a little under 200,000 in Michigan. So Donald Trump has to eat into Hillary Clinton's base, but that's where he would go to do it, is those non-college white men we've been talking a lot about. And you can see where they are. They're clustered around the Pittsburgh media market, to a smaller degree around Erie and Scranton.
And I cut you off. You were about to say on Pennsylvania.
Yeah, no, it's a totally different situation than Ohio. Hillary Clinton's base, GOTV, if you add those up, she could win without winning any persuadable voters. And the persuadable universe in Pennsylvania is so much smaller than it is in neighboring Ohio. It's about 3 times larger in Ohio. Trump could do everything he can to turn out his base, to turn out his GOTVs. He could win even persuadables, and it just wouldn't be enough for him. And this is why people say that Pennsylvania is such an uphill climb for him. Right. But it's still a really important state for him to win. He has to peel off those Democrats, and these are the Democrats we think are the most vulnerable for him to convert.
Sasha, talk to me about Michigan. I mean, if Pennsylvania is a reach for Donald Trump, Michigan must be well out of his reach.
Yeah, and so what we see is sort of the similar economic dynamics across these states, but that the mix of the electorate is really difficult for him there. There are about 189,000 we found of these working class white Democrat men who live in communities hit by localized plant closures. 70% of them are in the Detroit media market. That may be one reason why Trump is spending money in Michigan. It's I think the 7th highest state by his ad spending, even though Clinton and her outside super PACs aren't there at all. So, I think there's a sense that when you look at the other states on the Electoral College map, places like Colorado, Virginia, where he has a very difficult challenge holding historically Republican states, that he thinks that's a place where maybe he could pick them off.
Right. Sasha, real fast, you're like a data guru, right? And we're going to be doing this series with you and Steve all the way through to Election Day, the Persuadables. You guys rely on the voter file rather than on polling. Why is the voter file better?
Yeah, we went to a firm called Clarity Campaign Labs. This is what campaigns do. They count up individual voters instead of trying to divide the electorate by percentages. And one big reason is that a large part of the campaign is not about changing people's opinions, which is something we pick up in polls, but it's about getting your own coalition out to vote. And it's a much better way to actually look at who the voters are and where they are by going straight to the voter file than just relying on polls.
So you guys made us smarter. I vote for you to have a permanent chair there. Steve Yaccino, Sasha Issenberg, thank you both.